Roughly 10 years ago, I moved to Germany from Iran, a country where women cycling in public space is currently forbidden. My first contact with the refugee accommodation dates back to 2015, when I visited the most populated shared accommodation center here in Freiburg to watch a training session of football project for refugee kids. The most striking point about my visit was the absence of women, not only close to the playground, but also outside of the buildings. At that point, I thought there is no woman living in that accommodation. The accommodation has no female resident. Then I heard a father talking to his son in Dari, the official language of Afghanistan. I approached him and started a conversation. I asked him if there is any woman living in this accommodation. Of course, there are many women living here, but they spend most of their time indoors, he answered. He took me to his room and introduced me to his wife. Through that family, I got to know some other families and women, not only in that accommodation center, but also in some other refugee centers in Freiburg. By talking to those women, I realized that at that point, there was no physical activity-based recreation program available for them. I also learned that what they really want is access to public space and social contact with the outer world, out of the accommodations. So, what can we do about that? The experiences of living in spaces of liminality, such as reception centers and refugee centers, restricts individuals' spatial and social mobility. According to studies, in a Western context, women from ethnic minority groups have been identified as one of the population groups most likely to experience accessibility problems and subsequently mobility and transport-related social exclusion. Therefore, access to public space and everyday spatial mobility have a direct influence on the processes of individual social inclusion and exclusion. So, back to my story. Of course, as a researcher, what I did first was writing a short proposal of my idea. Here in Freiburg, for example, cycling is highly valued. It's a perfect choice of activity to attract those women who did not have a chance to learn cycling in their homelands or do not feel safe on a bike and a local community and bring them together. The merit of cycling is that it produces a unique urban subjectivity. So, me and two of my colleagues started organizing a pilot course with 10 participants and 10 trainers close to the most populated refugee accommodation center here in Freiburg in 2016. Bikebridge was born. Bikebridge is a volunteer-based community recreation organization primarily for female asylum seekers, refugees, and immigrants. We use cycling to reach our objectives, which are fostering spatial and social mobility of the target group, bringing newcomers and the local population together in the context of Bikebridge, and strengthening community cohesion. Our bike and belong cycle courses, like I said, are primarily for the target groups of female asylum seekers, refugees, and immigrants. But these are not limited to these target groups. In fact, we had a couple of German participants in our programs as well. So we started with a pilot course in 2016. Meanwhile, we won a couple of national prizes, and we have been organizing cycle courses in a couple of cities in Germany and beyond. Cities like Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Munich, Cologne, and Paris. The impact has been quite remarkable. So far, over 400 women learned cycling through Bikebridge. Over 400 volunteers contributed in our program. Over 200 distributed bikes. Over 100 collective leisure activities have been organized. over 60 women with a forced migration background contributed in our program as organizers or volunteers. We also offer childcare services during our training sessions where possible. This remarkable impact could have not been possible without our hardworking organization team and members in different cities. Our inspiring participants, kind-hearted volunteers, and generous donors and sponsors. So I would like to thank all of them for their trust and support during these years. My story and the story of Bike Bridge show that positive change is always possible. Talk to people and get started. Want to join us? Yeah, let's do a ride.